That's step number one. There has some talk that heads may roll as a result of this. Now, Samsung does have a unique culture where they do a round of reshuffling at the end of every year. So we're only 2 months away from that, and there's always a lot of gossip about who's going to stay and who's going to go. So I suspect that this will only heighten that, but it'll be hard to separate out whether or not people are coming or going precisely because of this. It happens a lot every year.
And we're not far from the holiday season. As Samsung would know better than anybody, it's important time for these phone companies to move their products. Do they have a plan B?
Well, right now, analysts are talking about whether or not this recall has so damaged the Galaxy Note line that they may just discontinue it altogether. No successor devices next year. They already do have their flagship device, which is their S series, and the S7 that they launched earlier this year is still selling well, and actually it helped insulate Samsung from some of the damage of this recall in the last quarter. So it's not the end of the world from that perspective. It's also good news for them that their semiconductors, display panels, their other businesses are actually doing quite well.
That's Jonathan Chang of the Wall Street Journal speaking to us from Seoul, South Korea. Thanks very much.
Of course.
In this country, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump continues campaigning. He's waving off the dozens of leading Republicans who abandoned him over his videotaped remarks about women. NPR's Sarah McCammon watched Trump rally supporters in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Trump has apologized for his comments in the 2005 recording, where he used vulgar language to describe women and their bodies, and even bragged about groping and kissing them without consent. But on the campaign trail, Trump didn't exactly sound humbled.
I assume you saw the debate last night, everybody was...
Before a nearly full arena, Trump was in rare form. There was no sense of a campaigning crisis as he turned up the temperature on his usual attacks against Hillary Clinton and the establishment and raised the specter of a stolen election.
And everybody knows what I'm talking about. And this crooked media, you talk about crooked Hillary, they're worse than she is.
To that, the crowd burst into cries of CNN sucks.
Oh, they just turned off their camera.
CNN had not turned off their camera. But it was all part of the show for Trump's hardcore followers who seemed unfazed by the scandal.
1, 2, 3.
As a supporter struggled to organize a round of the wave before the rally began, Jeannie Hovan of Towanda, Pennsylvania, joined in. The 62-year-old retiree said Trump's comments about women were no big deal.
I mean, any one of these people, if they have never uttered a vulgar word, then they shouldn't live in a glass house because that's just the way it is.
But do you think it's normal for men to joke about groping women?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'd like to grab that, or yeah, I'd like to tap that. Yeah, they're always saying that.
Her friend Myra Harkness, a dairy farmer near Binghamton, New York, says Trump has apologized and it's time to move on. She says it's just talk. And even if it was more than talk,
They just all want to move on. Everybody gets too happy and crazy like that. Back, we didn't have this 10, 15, 20 years ago.
as for Republican leaders who are bailing on Trump, Jeannie Hovan sees a cynical move to hang on to their positions.
They're afraid they're going to lose their place in the hierarchy. I think they're making a big mistake, that they need to get behind him because he's their only hope.
And regardless of what some Republican Party leaders think their nominees' chances are on Election Day, Trump supporters like these are now an energized part of the GOP base. Sarah McCammon, NPR News, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Later today on All Things Considered, we're going to hear about the black vote. We'll hear the emotions behind the poll numbers suggesting that African Americans will cast their ballots for Hillary Clinton. This is NPR News.
It's on 89.3 KPCC. I'm Libby Dankman. Partly cloudy this morning, clearing by the afternoon, 8:42.
The big KPCC fundraiser doesn't start until after the election, but do it now. Support KPCC today, and you can win an all-inclusive trip for two to Guatemala, courtesy of Bella Guatemala Travel. Give now at kpcc.org/donate.
David Andrade.
Paula Wise
And Alex Miller.
They made today's morning edition possible. Will you join them? And give at kpcc.org. From
NPR News in Washington, I'm Lakshmi Singh. Donald Trump is out with more tweets fueling the rancor between him and prominent members of the Republican Party. In the latest, he blasts House Speaker Paul Ryan for opting not to campaign with him before the election. Ryan's move, Trump says, hurts the campaign for the White House. This comes on the heels of a 2005 recording in which Trump is heard bragging about groping women. The scandal further complicates the campaign's battle to capture critical states such as Florida. Trump will be there in a few hours, so will Hillary Clinton. NPR's Tamara Keefe says a Democratic nominee is enlisting the help of a former presidential nominee.
Hillary Clinton is campaigning today in Miami, Florida with Al Gore. Now, of course, he was vice president when Bill Clinton was president of the United States. But in this instance, he's coming out to campaign with Clinton to talk about climate change and lay out, as the campaign says, the high stakes in November's election.
Public outcry is growing in Pakistan over the government's decision to prevent one of the country's most well-respected journalists from leaving the country. Here's NPR's Philip Reeves.
People are condemning it as an attack on press freedom. The journalist concerned is Cyril Almeida, who's highly respected here. He's upset the authorities by publishing a story that highlights concerns within Pakistan's civilian government about the military's willingness to allow jihadi groups like the Haqqani network in Afghanistan to use Pakistan as a base.
Dow is down 162. This is NPR.
And this is 89.3 KPCC. Good morning, I'm Libby Dankman. All power has been restored to customers in the South Bay, Southern California. Edison says more than 90,000 customers have been in the dark starting about 6 this morning. The former ExxonMobil refinery in Torrance had started a flare-off in response to the outage. The city of Torrance was telling residents nearby to stay inside, close all windows and doors, and turn off ventilation systems. That shelter-in-place order has since been lifted. SoCal Edison says customers are also affected by the power outage. They were affected, that is, in Hawthorne, Gardena, Manhattan Beach, and Redondo Beach, and it hasn't said what caused the outages. Earth's magnetosphere protects us from harmful cosmic radiation. New research from UC Irvine finds exposure to cosmic rays during space travel could impair brain function and memory. Here's David Korn.
Just 2 weeks ago, entrepreneur Elon Musk video conferenced his plans for a manned mission to Mars and dismissed the danger of cosmic radiation.
So I think the radiation thing is often brought up, but I think it's not too big of a deal.
UC Irvine researcher Charles Lamoli begs to differ. And for astronauts, that damage could impair decision-making, mood, and memory, he said. New research shows that brain damage caused by cosmic rays may remain for a long time, even a year or more after returning from space, Lamoli said. And he added, current shielding technology doesn't offer much protection from cosmic rays. NASA funded the research in hopes to address the concerns in time for a manned mission to Mars in the 2030s. Musk is planning his launch sometime in the next decade. I'm David Korn.
It's 8:46.
It's Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Stephen Skeet.
And I'm Renee Montaigne. Scientists in Michigan have found a new dwarf planet in our solar system. The way it was found is quite unusual, and the researchers hope their technique will help in the search for an even more impressive object, a giant planet astronomers believe is lurking in the outer reaches of our solar system. And here's Joe Palca as this story about the big idea that may lead to finding what astronomers are calling Planet 9.
Some researchers have devoted their lives to finding new objects in the solar system. David Curtis.
I came to planet hunting not as a planet hunter, but I'm actually an adult onset astronomer.
Curtis started out as a particle physicist. Then he turned to cosmology and got involved in an effort to make a map of distant galaxies. This has involved taking tens of thousands of pictures of the night sky. A couple of years ago, Curtis had some undergraduates visiting him for the summer, and he said to them, just for fun, let's see if we can find some solar system objects in our images. So how do you find solar system objects in pictures taken of the sky looking for galaxies? Well, you look for things that move.
Objects in the solar system, when you observe them at one instant, and then a little while later, they appear to be in a different place in the sky.
Stars and galaxies are so far away, they're basically stationary. But a planet or asteroid will be in a slightly different position from night to night. It will appear as a dot of light that seems to be moving across the stationary backdrop of stars. Connect the dots night after night, and you can begin begin to calculate the object's orbit around the sun. But the images Gerda's had weren't taken night after night. We often just have a single observation of the thing on one night, and then 2 weeks later, one observation, and then 5 nights later, another observation, and 4 months later, another observation. So the connecting the dots problem is much more challenging. But they were able to develop software that could do just that. I met with Curtis and some of his student collaborators in a conference room on the University of Michigan campus last month. He told me about one of the more interesting objects they've fished out of their images, a new dwarf planet that's really, really far away, nearly 100 times farther from the sun than the Earth is, and it takes more than 1,000 years to complete a single orbit. We think this object could be about 1,000 kilometers in diameter. Not Pluto-sized, but still one of the larger minor bodies in the solar system. Since we spoke last month, Curtis now has additional data showing the object is closer to 500 kilometers in diameter, but that's still a big chunk of rock. Now, this new dwarf planet is pretty exciting if you're into dwarf planets, but there's a much bigger prize astronomers are searching for. They think there's a planet 10 times more massive than the Earth hiding in the outer reaches of the solar system. A scientific paper earlier this year described the orbit of this so-called Planet 9, and since then, astronomers have been scouring the parts of the sky where the orbit says Planet 9 might be. So far, no one's seen it. David Gerda says it's quite possible that one of the images taken for his galaxy map may actually contain a picture of it. I'm excited about our chances of finding it. You mean yours, or you mean ours? Less planet. I'm excited about the chances of the people in this room finding it. Of course, I'm happy for humanity if someone else finds it. It would be the most exciting astronomical discovery in our lifetime, I think. No luck so far. But as David Curtis says, the hunt is on. Joe Palca, NPR News.
Support for NPR comes from NPR member stations and from the estate of Joan Bancroft, whose bequest serves as an enduring investment in the future of public radio and seeks to help NPR be the model for high-quality journalism in the 21st century. From the Kresge Foundation, expanding opportunities in America's cities through grant-making and social investing, or at kresge.org. And from the Howard and Geraldine Pullinger Family Foundation, committed to nurturing the development of talented emerging artists and sharing the joy that the performing arts bring to life. This is 89.3 KPCC. Good morning, I'm Libby Dankman. It's a must-win game for the Dodgers today at Chambas Ravine. They lost to the Nationals yesterday, 8-3 in Game 3 of the National League Division Series. It was a long one, too. 4 hours and 12 minutes. The Dodgers' longest 9-inning game of 2016. Dodgers are now behind 2-1 in best-of-5 series. A win today would force Game 5 back in Washington, D.C. on Thursday. Today's game starts just after 2 p.m. and traffic is moving again on the 605 South at the 5 in Santa Fe Springs. That was closed down for over 4 hours. Only the right lane is blocked now. 605 South at the 5 in Santa Fe Springs.
KPCC supporters include Kids Space Children's Museum in Pasadena. You can celebrate the season at the 22nd Annual Kids Space Pumpkin Festival on Saturday, October 15th and Sunday, October 16th, with carnival games, fall crafts, picnic treats, space painting, pony rides, live music, a petting zoo, and more. Admission to the festival is open to all. The 22nd Annual Pumpkin Festival at Kids Space offers activities for the whole family. For more information, you can visit kidspacemuseum.org.
It's Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Steve Inskeep.
And I'm Renee Montaigne. Since the UK voted to leave the European Union last summer, the country's currency, the pound, has lost about 16% of its value against the dollar. Most of the damage, according to economists, was self-inflicted. NPR's Frank Langford reports on how plans for a sharp break with the EU are already coming at a price.
Thousands of tourists cram Westminster Bridge each day to see Big Ben. Along with vendors selling Keep Calm t-shirts, there's almost always a guy in a kilt with bagpipes. Linda Schubert first came to London on her honeymoon 37 years ago.
It just always seemed like a very expensive city.
But Schubert flew last weekend from Dallas and says this time they're bargains. Even Harrods, one of the city's famed department stores.
I was told by our friend who just got back from last week that his wife's new
shoes were $350 cheaper here at Harrods.
Then in the States, or
Exactly. She just bought them to come on the trip. So his advice was run the Harrods and take lots of cash.
of course, this is an extreme case. The cheaper pound is good news for American tourists like Linda Shu, but bad for her son, Brandon, who works here as an interior designer. Brandon's paper plans.
It's obviously disappointing for people who live here to know that all of a sudden, if you take their wealth in global terms, they're sort of 15% more than they ever were.
The prediction of the pound's fall was really widespread. Just about every economist thought this would happen.
Angus Armstrong is director of macroeconomics at the National Institute of Economic and Social Research, a London think tank. He says that after the Brexit vote, the value of the pound fell because people thought less access to the EU's giant market would hurt the economy. Many hoped the UK would somehow stay inside the single market until last week, when Prime Minister Theresa May told her Conservative Party,
We are leaving to become once more a fully sovereign and independent country, and the deal is going to have to work for Britain.
which is Brexit's speed for a sharp split. Again, Angus Armstrong.
It looks like a so-called hard Brexit, where we really are pulling out most of our connections to the European Union, and that's why the currency fell further.
The pound dropped again this morning, trading below $1.23. Most economists think it is yet to hit bottom. Frank London, NPR News, London.
In Germany, a rare nationwide manhunt for a Syrian refugee thought to be planning a terror